Summertime is a time that we have some pretty crazy weather here in Bristol. We live in a temperate rainforest, so we get more than our share of rain, especially in the spring and early to mid-summer. Often that rain is brought to us by some very dangerous storms, and of course because of the topography here, flooding can be a problem. It's a good idea to be prepared in case you're caught without power or are hit hard by a strong storm or tornado. Felicia McNabb is the Executive Director of the Mountain Empire Chapter of the American Red Cross.
Well, this is an emergency preparedness kit, and everybody should have one. And it's something you can do at home. A lot of the stuff you may already have, but it's very important to put it all in one place and make sure everybody knows where it is in case of an emergency. And it's for either leaving your house if you have to evacuate and go to a shelter, or for sheltering in place. So you want to put the things in here if you need to be home for several days and make sure you have things, that can go in here, but also if you need to get out of the neighborhood. You just never know what will happen. So what we've got in here, this probably isn't the nicest radio, but this is a battery-powered radio, so you want to make sure you have one of those, and if it's an NOAA radio, all the better. This is an emergency blanket, and you can get these, in camping supplies at pretty much anywhere that sells camping supplies, and they're really inexpensive. They're about $1. This is a first aid kit. So sometimes in an emergency situation like a tornado or a storm, there's debris flying around. So you want to make sure you have something just in case you get, hit by a flying object. With that same idea, you've got gloves. This is especially important if you have a family member who's like in a wheelchair or something like that and may need to be rolling over debris. You want to make sure you've got enough clothing for at least one change, preferably a couple of days if you've got room for it. Some people put their kits in a backpack, some people put them in a big tote, but you want it to be small enough to carry. You also want to have duct tape is for sheltering in place, and as you know, you can do lots of things with duct tape, but you can seal up if there's like a hazmat spill or something like that. You can seal up openings to your home or whatever to make sure that contaminants don't get inside. Food, and this is not the best looking nature bar, but you want to make sure you have that. If you've got anybody in your family on medication, you want to make sure you've got at least a few days worth of medication. And so I think that's important. Don't forget your personal hygiene products. That can become really important if you don't have it. Let's see what else. We've got diapers. If you have a baby in the family, you want to make sure you have supplies for that. We've also got, there's all kinds of stuff in here, but more food, wet wipes, a whistle is a good thing to have in case you find yourself in a lot of rubble or something. If somebody needs to find you, this is a good way for them to know where you are. The thing I'm not seeing in here, but I know we've got, here it is, drinking water. So this isn't a very big pack because you really want to have like a gallon per person per day. And if you can't have that, it's better to have something and maybe have something like canned fruit or something that's, water-based or something in there too. So you can get some of your water from that if you have to. Other things to think about if you've got room would be like a deck of playing cards or something like that if you find yourself in a shelter for an extended period of time. Other personal hygiene items like soap and toothpaste, and here's soap, travel size items that really aren't going to take up a bunch of space. So I won't dig all this stuff out, but just to give you an idea, those are the kind of things that you can pack and have put away. A flashlight is another good thing to have because if you have a power outage, you want to make sure that you've got some way to see, and some extra batteries would also be pretty helpful. If you find yourself in a storm situation, sometimes at my house, depending, on family members and what they've been up to, it might take me an hour to put all this stuff together. So you want to make sure you've got, one bag with everything all in place. I know at my house the flashlight seems to disappear all the time for various reasons, but we try to make sure we've got at least one that we know where it is at all times. None of this stuff is expensive, and none of it, you know, you can buy these kits, but none of it really has to be bought all together in a kit. You can put this together with one of your kids' old backpacks or a gym bag you've got laying around the house or whatever. The main thing is to have the supplies on hand if you need it. Another thing that's not on the table, but a good thing to have, is cash. You know, we saw about 200 families after Katrina just in our area, and you probably remember the gas shortage and all that, and a lot of those people banked in the same area where they worked and lived, and everything was wiped out. So they couldn't even, if they banked, you know, they couldn't even have access to their money if they banked it somewhere that wasn't a national chain or something like that. So just having some cash on hand to buy some gas, or you know, they really wished they had had that, I can tell you. So good things to have. We suggest when you're, you know, when you change your, you know, the time changes and you change the batteries on your smoke detectors and things like that, to also check your emergency kit, make sure you've got new batteries in your thing and that your water hasn't expired. And so I would think it would be better to, I mean, you can buy a gallon jug of water for 88 cents at some places, so I would think it would be better to get it and have it sealed and make sure you know it's safe. Of course, water from the tap you can use to flush a toilet if you need to, or things like that. So, you know, I don't know that I would drink it if it's been sitting there quite a while, but there are things you could do with it. It would still be useful. If anybody needs additional information, we've got handouts and things like that we can supply to a group, and would be happy to go talk to anybody about preparedness.